Hey, beautiful souls, beautiful sunshine here with the R Holistic Healer, aka Sonia B. So I am back with a couple of quick prophetic messages. I do want to say if you feel like this message does not apply, then let it fly. But just keep in mind as well too, if you being divinely guided to watch this message to the end, it could be a message that's either here for you within the near future or someone else who is within your immediate environment. Okay, so that you can understand what's possibly taking place with them. Okay, so let's get into the message. So the first message I received was we're dealing with energies from the past. Okay, and we're dealing with energy from the past because this could have been pertaining to like your upbringing. If you guys watched that video on the video that I did on your childhood affects your adulthood. So right now, God is asking us to look a little deeper, okay? Look a little deeper into our psyche in a sense, okay? Look at the choices that we made. Look at the habits that we have. Look at the patterns that we keep repeating. Look at the cycles that we have found ourselves in and realize, like, are these things working for you? Are you happy with the choices and the decisions that you have made along the way, in a sense? Because all of these are pertaining back to childhood, okay? So in this dream, it was like almost like being in my childhood home that I kind of grew up in, okay? So that's how I knew it was the past. So I say all that to say that you have to understand that some of you guys have been in a situation to where maybe like throughout your life, maybe you may have heard negative talking, growing up in a sense. So therefore, if you think that that was normal, okay? So sometimes when you hear people saying certain things, or just I just heard like diarrhea of the mouth, whether it's either gossiping about people or whether it's you just saying things but in a way that just sounds very harsh in a sense, okay? Because it's not what a person says, it's about how you say it, okay? You speak to people how you want people to speak to you in a sense. So therefore, if it's almost like, not saying that you need to walk on eggshells, but it's almost like you can censor yourself just a little bit, okay? So again, the way I saw this was some people may have had negative influences around them pertaining to like their bloodline in a sense. So now it's almost like God is requiring you to think about, again, your choices, your patterns, and your habits and cycles that you have repeated throughout life, and wants you to basically just ask yourself, have any of these choices influenced your life in a way that they're coming from your upbringing, okay? And again, because I saw it as if it was like I was telling someone to do something and then they was doing it, okay? So everything I said they was doing, okay? So some of you guys may have had an effect on yourself that you didn't even realize it, that, you were speaking certain things and it could have been a little reckless is what I heard when you speak certain things, and it's almost like those certain things were coming fruition in a sense, okay? And you didn't realize the level of impact that your words had because it's some way, shape, or form, or you wasn't even, I just heard you also wasn't even associating the two with the two, like, are my words or my thought process, is it influencing this action that's taking place that is hurting, harming, and injuring someone in a certain particular way, whether it was someone or people in general, okay? And I don't know why I just taste some fried chicken with some hot sauce on it, wrapped into like some what do you call that? Hawaiian bread. I don't know if somebody's eating that right now, but anyway, so with that being said, don't laugh when you hear this message. So anyway, so with that being said, and I don't even eat chicken, okay? Not anymore anyway. Anyway, so with that being said, I say all that to say that it's almost like God is just kind of bringing this to your awareness, because sometimes people can have things that they do throughout life because they was either shown these things, and whether they were taught these things or not, they could have just thought that, oh, well, I see my parents doing it, so this is okay to do, not realizing that how it can hurt, harm, or injure someone, unintentionally without you not knowing, okay? So this is where God is bringing this to your awareness and allowing you to be able to see just the choices that you have made and how it has influenced your life, and whether it was hurtful or harmful, whether it be to yourself or whether it's hurtful or harmful to other people, okay? So, and also in that same dream, I was like in the bathroom, and it's almost like there was like a parasite, okay? It was like a parasite that had came like out of the body in a sense, and it's like I was holding it on my finger and it was kind of stinging my finger a little bit. So God was just letting me know, like, this parasite can be very, like, let's just say a parasite can turn into something bigger than what it needs to be, okay? You know, if you keep feeding the energy, okay, it can just get bigger, 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 okay? So God is just trying to bring it to your awareness. So when I say the parasite is more so a representation of dis-ease meaning discomfort in your body in a sense, okay? So God has given us warning signs. He has allowed people to experience these different ailments that have been taking place, whether they cleared up or not, whether other things are existing, whether you want to be in denial about other things. There are things that are kind of transpiring and things that has happened in a sense and that is still currently taking place. Either you are doing things like pushing your stuff off onto other people so that you don't have to deal with it, so you don't have to feel it in a sense. And that in itself is being hurtful and harmful, okay? So anytime, let's just say, for instance, hypothetically, if I'm someone with a cold in a sense and I don't want to deal with the cold, you know, and if I decided I want to, okay, let me get this to somebody else. How wrong is that in a sense, okay? Like if that person did that to you, you would feel some type of way. So I say all that to say that God doesn't want you to respond, act this way, or continue to behave in this way in a sense, okay? So I say all that, and some of you, I just heard that some of you not even aware of some of the stuff that you do in a sense, because it could kind of come like in a settled type way. But again, sometimes our mindset can be distorted due to the parasite. Remember what I said about the parasite? Because the parasite was kind of stinging in a sense. So just with having the discomfort and the dis-ease within the body, this is nothing more than your body's trying to warn you and let you know, hey, something's off course here, okay? Something's out of alignment. You know, like God has basically told some of us on this journey, okay, I'm gonna need you to get it right. So when we choose to ignore those signs, and I just heard my phone go off, I don't know if you heard that. So when you choose to ignore those signs, you know, God is almost like he will amplify the energy and allow you to feel more discomfort. So whatever way, shape, or form that may have come, you know, you don't want it to get to the point that it's something major, you know, in a even bigger crisis, okay? So it's a matter of just kind of paying attention to the warning signs. Just remember that your body, anytime you're experiencing something or feeling something with your body, it's about stopping, taking a second, where's this coming from? You know, because sometimes your body just wants you to acknowledge something, okay? It's about self-care. When you acknowledge, you know, if something's going on and something's wrong within your, you know, your body, it's almost like you're caring for yourself. Not almost you're caring, you are caring for yourself. But when you're choosing to ignore it and you're just kind of pushing it off, acting like it doesn't exist, what that is saying to the universe is that I don't care about myself. Well, sometimes when a person does not care about themselves and they don't practice self-care, God's like, okay, you don't care about yourself? Well, let me just go ahead and add a little bit more to your plate and allow you to feel more discomfort until you get the message here, okay? And trust me and tell you, I've seen it happen, okay? So anyway, so remember that some of you guys may have been experiencing a situation of dealing with like a parasite, whether this was a physical parasite within your body or whether this was just like a spiritual parasite, because sometimes with being in I think is it Neptune energy, it creates illusion. So therefore, if you think that there's something going on within your physical body and it really is not, but it's just more so spiritually that the divine spirit light is trying to get your attention and bringing your conscious mind to a situation that needs to be addressed, okay? So anyway, but moving on. So the next message I received was, it was like a passed over loved one who had passed over. You know, some of you guys may be experiencing situations where you're communicating with loved ones who have passed on, who are beyond the veil, or they're coming to you and giving you some sort of insight, okay? So pay attention to your dreams and pay attention to what's coming up to your mindset, okay? And I say all that to say that they could be giving you information, not could be, they're giving you information based off their past life experience. And I just saw a notification. They're giving you information based off their past life in a sense. And when I say that past life, meaning like before they passed before they passed over. So some of them are coming to you and they're sharing their wisdom and they're sharing their knowledge with you in a sense. And it's up to you to just heed the warnings in a sense, okay, of the information that they're giving you. So they're only giving you advice to help you to make a better choice, okay? So now that they see the consequences of their actions and things that transpired with them in their life before they passed, in a sense, to keep you from making that same mistake in a sense. So make no mistake, sometimes our loved ones who are beyond the veils, they're here to somewhat help in a sense, okay? And it just depend on what type of vibration or what type of energy that they were in a sense. You know, you have to ask yourself, how did this person live their life? What type of person was this? The person that's communicating with you, if you know this individual in particular, of how they live their life, okay? Because there's something about getting advice from those people who have passed on and those who have not lived their life right. In a sense, they can kind of drag you, I just heard, like to hell, in a sense. Like if their life was like hell, they can kind of drag you to hell. But this is not the situation. This is more of the situation. I just wanted to make you aware of that. This is the situation of someone who was more so, who had integrity, who had morals, who had values, who had respect for themselves, who had a lot of wisdom, who had a lot of knowledge, and they carried a lot of weight with them in a sense. Like people respected them, okay? People looked up to them in a sense, okay? Even without they didn't need to be arrogant, they didn't need to be in their ego, they didn't need to be put themselves up on a pedestal in a sense, because people respected them exactly how they were, okay? So I say all that to say, so when that information comes through, you might want to listen, okay? Because again, they're sharing some information based off their life experience so that you don't make the same choice. So anyway, so they was talking to me prior to going up to the mountaintop, to where I knew like my kids and my mom was up at the top, okay? And then along the way, when I got there, I realized there was like my divine counterpart who was there, and I wasn't expecting him to be there. So I say all that to say, like, we kind of packed up the car and we got into the car, and it's like he had drove us back home. So I say all that to say, it's almost like being up on a mountaintop right now. We're all kind of like looking back on past experiences from the past, as we are, even though we're up on the mountaintop of having that personal relationship with God right now, it's almost like we're also revisiting the past, so that way we can address any habits, patterns, and cycles that we have been in, so that we can heal those patterns and cycles and be done with them for like once and for all, okay? There's another situation as well too, and let me give you this as well too. If you're someone who is like a Pisces, and I'm going to say Pisces in particularly, okay? I'm going to say Pisces sun people. There has been a message where some of you guys have been constantly, continuously crossing people's boundaries. And I say all that to say that it's almost like God is, he's about to hold you accountable for your actions in a sense, okay? And I'm only talking about those people who have been violating people's boundaries, okay? And I'm not talking about those. So if you're a Pisces and you have not been violating people's boundaries, I'm not talking to you. I'm only talking to those people who has been violating people's boundaries in a sense, you know, whether that be physically or whether that be spiritually, okay? And I say all that to say that because in this dream, it's almost like a Pisces person had walked into someone's house, right? And as they walked into the house, it's almost like they felt a sense of entitlement, like, oh, I come and go as I please, and you know, like you don't say anything to me and let me just do what I want to do. So it's almost like, as I saw this taking place, it's almost like the person kind of followed them to where they went to. So it's like they kind of went into the house, walked up the stairs like, I'm going here because I want to, in a sense. And it's almost like they got a reality check, because the owners of the house, it's almost like they followed them up the stairs, kind of like ran up the stairs. You know, you kind of run up the stairs and chase after somebody, except that person wasn't running. You kind of run up the stairs, chase after somebody. You basically go like this, excuse me, and pull them back down. Like, you know, you have no business being here. Well, that's what was transpiring. So that right there in itself was, some of you guys have been feeling a sense of entitlement. Some of you guys have been feeling a sense of feeling like you can do whatever you want, and you feel like there are no consequences. There won't be no repercussions in a sense. But I'm here to tell you that cease, and that is done with in a sense, because God wants you to come to a realization of your actions in a sense. God has allowed you to be part of your trait is about being boundless in a sense, but that doesn't mean that you cross people boundaries in a sense. Okay, so therefore, if it's like you do things, but when people create boundaries, that doesn't mean you step over those boundaries in the process. So some of you guys are learning that lesson in a sense, and you're going to be learning that lesson for a good minute until you really allow it to hit home. Okay, and I just heard until you allow it to hit your heart space in a sense, because you know, some of you have been acting like, I'm sorry, but your shit don't stink in a sense. And I just saw 444 as I said that. And with that being said, and speaking of shit doesn't stink, because there have been a lot of people who have kind of put themselves up on pedestals, and it's almost like God is knocking them off those pedestals that they have placed themselves up on. And some of them, again, it's based off of their childhood. You know, it could have been a situation, maybe they saw their parents acting that way and they thought it was okay for them to do. Maybe their parents never corrected them. You know, I'm not sure, because it's different for everybody in a sense. Or they could have just saw their parents acting a certain type of way, behaving a certain type of way, speaking to people a certain type of way, looking down on people a certain type of way. So now you're about to get your reality check, okay? For those Pisces people, because I think I did do a video. I did do a video on Pisces people they were a little afraid because they didn't know what was coming in a sense. The video, I can't remember if I named it Pisces or not. Something Pisces. Pisces people are, their anticipation. The anticipation is eating them up or something like that. Anyway, but I think I named it something Pisces. So if you're Pisces, you can go watch that video if you want. Anyway, but nevertheless, God is requiring you to move a little differently than what you moved before, okay? Anyway, so basically, this whole process that we're in right now, what God is trying to do is basically get us to surrender and to let go of anything that has kept us, any habits, any patterns, and any repeated cycles that we have allowed ourselves to be in that has limited our mindset. He's basically asking us to renew our mindset, okay? And basically to get to know ourselves on a deeper level and to acknowledge how our habits has basically influenced our choices in life, okay? So just look at where you're at right now and ask you, are you kind of happy with the choices that you have made in life, okay? And some of these choices could be basically based off, you know, your family bloodline. So keep that in mind as well too, okay? So it's important to know that you can change your life at any time if you so choose to, okay? Everything is a choice. You always have a choice. And if you guys visit me on TikTok, I always state that you always have a choice anytime I'm doing some of my videos, okay? So it's a matter of ending any negative habits, any patterns, any cycles that you have kept yourself in for some time now. And some of you, it's been since your childhood, okay? So it's a matter of asking yourself the question of, how do I define success and not, how do I define success and not to define success based off outside perspectives, okay, or off outside influences, okay? So what do you define as success, okay? Because right now God is even revamping our mindsets of what we think success is, okay? Sometimes we think success is climbing a corporate ladder, okay? And for God, that don't mean nothing to me, because if you climbing a corporate ladder and you sacrificing people in the process, and you stepping on people in the process, and you looking at people like they're beneath you in the process, you know, that doesn't sit well with God, okay? So he's not happy with that. He's not pleased with that. Yes, you have gained, it's almost like you sacrificed your integrity by doing that in a sense, okay? So it's not a matter of, you know, just evolving and growing as a person, you know, or even bettering yourself, even in your career, but it's a matter of how you do it and which you do it in, okay? I know as an example, just came to mind. I know sometimes you hear about people in Hollywood and how they sacrifice people in a sense. Well, I have seen some people do things like that on this journey, and I was like, wow, interesting. Wow. I was like, the level of betrayal, the level of, wow. And what just came to mind is some people do this all for fame, is just what I heard. They do this all for fame, but not realizing that, oh God, they do this all for fame, and then not realizing that you have become the same person who you had despised at one point pertaining to, how can I say it? Because it's not about race baiting, but you became that very person that you despise. So let's just say hypothetically, if someone didn't care for Donald Trump, if you couldn't stand that man, it's almost like you become him in a sense, okay? And this is why God said, you know, to just basically be mindful in the sense of, what was it? Oh shoot, I forgot the scripture. Anyway, but this is why it's important to kind of check ourselves, because sometimes we could really be hating on somebody that we truly want to be in a sense, okay? So some of you guys have really kind of like sold yourselves in a sense of becoming that very thing that you really disliked or couldn't stand or despise, you know, in a sense. You really have, in a sense, some of you guys. This does not pertain to all, you know, all for the price of, I don't know if you want to call it fame, being seen, being heard is just what I heard, okay? But you have to ask yourself one thing. Being seen and heard because you have money, because you have climbed the corporate ladder, but ask yourself one question. If all of that went away, do you still feel powerful? Because a true person who's standing in their true power is a person who has absolutely nothing, but they walk around holding a lot of weight, even without money in their pockets. That's something to think about, okay? So what is your reasoning? Is the money driving you? Does the money make you feel powerful? Those are things to keep in mind, okay? Anyway, and then, so yeah, so it's a matter of asking yourself the question of what is success to you, and not based off what expectation other people's may have had for you, even if it was people coming from your bloodline, your family line, all of those things. So be mindful of that, because sometimes people do things in a way that they feel like, oh, it's a pattern that they have repeated and unconsciously are unaware of that. But this is why it's important to kind of just pay attention. I know one thing about myself, I've always observed people within my family growing up, just how people move, how they act, how they, you know, how they respond to things, and just behavior, things that they have done. And if I didn't really care for their behavior, I kind of distance myself from them in a sense, okay? And I say all that to say, you have to learn how to do that for yourself as well too, because either you're gonna be around those people and become like those people, because again, as they say, you are the company that you keep. So be mindful of that, okay? And then let's see, the last thing was, how can you release the old ways of seeing things so that you can make space for a brand new perspective, okay? So in order to receive something new, you have to be willing to let go of something old, okay? And I just saw 222 as I said that. So you have to let go of something in order to make room for something new, okay? So just remember that sometimes things that we experience in life, things that we go through in life, they could be stemming from our childhood. They could be from habits that we saw, heard, you know, they could be from, you know, cycles that we constantly found ourselves in. So it's a matter of imagine a hamster on a hamster wheel. So, or imagine yourself on a hamster wheel. Do you keep going around and around and around and around and around, keep repeating the same cycles? Because right now God is asking you at any given time, you can get off that hamster wheel, okay? So anyway, the choice is yours, and it's up to you to do what you choose to do. But with all that being said, I just want you to know that I'm going to end it on this note. Just remember that anytime you experience different ailments within your body, this is God's way of trying to get your attention. Remember that your body is like a pendulum. It is talking to you, it is speaking to you, and it wants you to address something. So just know and understand that different things that transpire, shoulders, eyes, teeth, mouth, nose, they all represent something, and you just have to know the hidden meanings behind them in a sense, so that way you can understand what it is that God may be possibly trying to tell you. And not just that, but just tuning into the energy and listening to what God is trying to tell you in the process, okay? Oh, so let me give you this real quick, the scripture. So, which is interesting because this one came through today, but I have one that I screenshot from yesterday too. It says 2 Peter 1, 5 through 8. It says, for this very season, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, okay? And to goodness, knowledge, and to knowledge, self-control, okay? That's what we were talking about today. And self-control, perseverance, and to perseverance, godliness, and to godliness, mutual affection, and to mutual affection, love. For if you possess these qualities in increasing measures, they will keep you from being ineffective and unproductive in your knowledge and of Christ Jesus. Okay, so remember that. You guys can go back and read that for yourself. But anyway, I'm sorry. Hold on real quick. Let me give you this one. And this one came through yesterday. This is Romans 8 and 28. And it says, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those whom love him, whom have been called according to his purpose. So just know that God has called you. You didn't call God, okay? And I say all that to say God has a purpose for your life. You may not necessarily see it, but trust me, he has a big purpose for your life. And you can even understand, if you can even fathom what you thought you was doing right now by climbing the corporate ladder of someone else's institution, in a sense, you have to realize, or what we think success is, you have to realize when we come away from that, in a sense, it's almost like we can see things from a higher perspective of, and which is, because remember, God's ways is not our ways. So when we can see things from a higher perspective, God will start to reveal certain things to us of where we're heading, what we're supposed to do, our life purpose. And sometimes some of you don't even know that your life purpose is way bigger than what it is right now, than where you're at. You know, where you're at right now with the company. Well, this message is not for all, but for some, they will be working for companies, but some of these companies may have integrity. They may have morals and values. And for others, they're meant to build certain things, okay? So anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and end it there. But that is the message that I have for you guys. So the question would be is, will you allow the parasite to continue to make discomfort and dis-ease within your body, or will you allow yourself to be in full alignment and completely surrender to the Most High? So with that being said, I wish you all much love, much light. Until the next message. Bye.